Yeah, yeah, yeah. It goes fast. It goes fast. Nick, you want to share your screen? It'll help my automation.
A tweet from Jake Sherman,
There we
the
go.
Politico
Perfect.
reporter, tweeting.
All right. So let's see here. So for today, big thing is we opened gap up, but here's the thing I'm gonna want to pull in here. We got a little bit, we got a balance area from 2-day composite from
Wait a minute.
yesterday.
I got my chart on your screen. Is that what we want? No. How is that possible?
Hold on a second. Let me double
I'm
check
looking
something.
at.
Let me see what's going on here. Oh, I see what I did.
Oh wow.
I know what I did wrong. You're good. Let me change mine. I made a mistake. There we go. There you go. You should see it now.
I'm waiting.
Let me know when you can see it.
I got spinning dice.
No.
Might have to refresh. I see it.
You do? Oh,
Yeah.
it's me?
Dude, what is going on with freaking this? It was going so good for a while.
Okay, I can see you now.
Okay.
Here we go. I will share mine again just to have it so you have it.
Yeah. It just makes sure that my automations are easier and I don't forget to do something.
Okay, so now mine's a spinning dice,
Oh,
right?
good God.
Hang on, one more time.
I wonder if you pay for this, how much Discord costs, but I wonder if you pay for it if it's better.
All right. I think if I share first and then watch your screen second, maybe there's a difference.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I just did, and it worked fine.
All right.
So
Well, I can see it now.
I'm ready.
All right. So here we go. Again, we're only worried about the first trade of the day, and then after that, we're just going to follow that same process. So big thing today is that we've got a 2-day composite. We've got this just really, really outsized range for what this normally looks like. So we wouldn't expect this. And part of what's going on, I think, is that as you zoom out, I added this indicator to my thing, and it makes the scale. You notice this, Ziggy? You see how it freaking like flips my scale so fast? I wish I could like fix that. It's this sigma indicator from actually from CT, believe it or not. Anyway, the thing that I'm trying to point out here is that as I discussed yesterday and I said, is that we've basically held this line up here, but we bought up and then we let it come down lower and then we bought it higher and then we bought it higher and then like so now we've got this little like continuous lower high situation and we're assaulting this thing for the 1, 2, 3. Well, we sold off from there 4, 5, sixth time now. So today, what I'm thinking is, I'm thinking we break through this. I'm thinking today might be the day we break through this because of all these lower highs. I think the buyers are going to want to break through it, and I don't think they're going to give up easily. I don't think it's going to be like I beat it and then quit. I don't think it's going to be like that. Um, I actually think this pullback early is help. See that, Ziggy? That is so freaking. See how fast that is? It's so frustrating. If you know how to fix that, that would be super helpful. Um, this time frame that we're in right here looks to me to be like completely balancing right here. If you look at the price action, it's it's up, it's down, it's to the bottom, it's to the top. It like that looks like balance to me. But breaking this changes that picture. Inability to break this maintains the picture that we have here. Our inability to break it with strong delta continuation pullbacks that make a new high, that kind of thing. So, as far as my plan goes for today, what I'm looking for is two types: leaving balance higher, the gap holds, or we bounce off of it and we leave balance higher. Yesterday was a balance day. Starting to get a little jealous of the Globex session, having all the fun here. Um, and we break higher. And this pullback's already happened, so it may come to be that in the morning, instead of like a momentum, I was thinking that it would be a momentum reversal, push down and then go higher, but it's already down here, so now it's kind of a different play setup if it happens. Would be that we'll be looking for a pull flip on CD. We're looking for high absorption. We're looking for value area bounce. We're looking for wave delta imbalances to then break structure higher and then push all the way through to the overnight high. A lot of reasons for that to happen. And then in continuation, if that starts to work out before the open even, we're looking for us to leave developing value on the high side with increasing delta. We're looking for an imbalance pullback. That would be awesome. We're looking for holding structure. We're not looking for what happened. Golly, I want to say it was this day. I want to say it was this day where we knock up, push back, knock up a little bit, push way back, knock up, push way back again. Like this, that's bad mojo. That's not what we want. That means the sellers are here to defend it. And at least on the first couple of tests into it, um, I'm not gonna be aggressive for that. I need to see exactly what I'm talking about here. Otherwise, I'm not interested in it. I'd be more interested in the value area bounce, where delta dies. You see large selling. You see a Three Stooges, which is lowering delta on three waves, and a reference failure, meaning we just kind of just barely sneak up to this thing and dink like that. That's what I would be looking for there. And on the downside, if we're going to return to balance, if we're going to make it back to this point of control, that's still a thing. It's the point of control for this area. Still a thing that can happen. Then I'd be looking for us to have an EMA setup. We're already set up to the downside for momentum right now because of this sell-off that you're seeing right here. So a slight pullback to this HVN or the overnight point of control that doesn't imbalance, fails, and continues lower all the way to this point of control. That's not impossible either. In fact, given how many times this has been defeated up here, probable. Seemingly
I gotta
probable.
tell you, and that's the one that seems likely to me because this market has been very difficult to get long
I know it.
and stay.
Yep.
It's been deep pullbacks, farther than you would expect, right?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I think that setup you're talking about now is well, could be anything, but it's not off the table.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, because of the fact that when I drew out the price structure, this looked like complete balance to me. It just looks like balance on a 2.5 day time frame is all. It doesn't look like strong, one timing up or anything like that. Nothing's telling me, oh, we're definitely going higher. I have to have a suspicion that how many times can you defend this high, um, and succeed? So I'm just kind of thinking about the probabilities there. I don't know the answer. What would put all that off the table is if at the open we got, and this isn't part of my plan, so I will most likely not be part of it if it does happen. If we sort of languish here at the open and bounce around and then just rip down like that, probably going to miss that first move. So, and if that happens, then I think that's confirmed balance, obviously. And what I would be looking for then is just a revisit of the value area low, or maybe even the low day of this, and that to me that just completes the balance picture of this area. Like that just seems like perfect complete balance to me. So that is today for me. Any thoughts on that? Any reactions? I'm just curious. That also is that complete enough? You think?
The one thing well, I'm going to point out in mine. So I noticed something on your chart, and I think it's relevant to something that happens on the micro level. And I'll just point it out in mine.
Okay. All right.
So can you still see my
Yep.
my thing?
Yep.
Okay. So again, I've been saying that I'm expecting a balanced breakout on the higher time frame, and of course, in the overnight session, we got we got the breakout above this 3702s, and we're trading at like around 3711. But you know, for the most part, what I was going to point out and what I think is relevant is a pattern that I see on the micro scale all the time is when you get a balance break from a higher level. So you'll get a move that starts out with an impulse. Let's just say that this is an impulse, right? And then you'll get a balance up here, you know, in this upper wave area, and then a continuation. And these pullbacks, usually, if you see the secondary pullback that happened, was lower. Oops, sorry. Was lower than here. So, you know, there is a possibility that we get another one that comes down in here, and then we get a push. That's possible. And I don't want to take that off the table, you know, on the bigger picture. So this might, and by the way, this might be 2 days down before it goes up. So that's a possibility on the bigger picture time frame. On my shorter term time frame, just 1 second. Everything isn't where it's supposed to be right now. Here we go. I was just going to point out that it sort of, when you do scrunch this down, and I saw this on your chart as well, is that this is a balance area on top of a balance area. So this is the lower balance area down here. I don't know if you can see where I'm talking about, right? And then we moved up, and now we've created this balance area here. And now yesterday, we balanced at the top of this range, and today we poke through. So in my view, it's a clearer read to me today, only because I'm expecting directional movement higher, and we're starting to see it. So what does that mean to me? It means 2 things. It means this is a breakout attempt, and until there's continuation, it's just an attempt. So if we come back down and start to slice through the previous all-time highs, which is right in here, and we start to come down into this, I'm expecting a pullback to at least the 82 level, which would probably come in like this. And I would be looking for some sort of defense of the all-time high on the way back up. So this is, you know, to be complete, this would be a slice through the all-time high, some level of support coming back in, and then a defense of the all-time high by the sellers, targeting this point of control and potentially farther. Because the one thing that we have to remember is, since we are at all-time highs, the possibility of complete failure on the bigger picture is still there. So, you know, like a bigger move lower is still possible if we fail at these prices, something that, you know, that I tend to forget on the downside sometimes. But I don't think that that's the most likely scenario, what I just told you. I think that's like scenario 2. What I think is the more likely scenario is we push in here hard, and then we get like a V bounce back up into here. And I'm expecting that because of some of the times we've done this in the past, where it's looked very bad and there's been major reversals at key levels. And if you look at these key levels, they're getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And I would expect something like this. And this goes with my theory of it being hard to hold on to longs, because it's going to initially kind of hold this level, and then sellers are going to come in and be able to squeeze it out and then get a bounce. And that's my more primary scenario. So again, like yesterday, I'm going to kind of settle in and allow the market to develop. I'm finding that this little pattern over the last 2 weeks really is better to trade in the afternoon sessions and even in the overnight sessions than it is in the first couple of hours of trading. There seems to be a two-way battle in the first 2 hours of trading that's difficult to stay on with a reasonable stop. They push it a little farther than they normally would, or the sellers come in and they just get it farther enough just to stop out, at least me, before I can get aboard the move, and then I end up having to buy a pullback continuation trade at worst location. So I'm going to try to settle into today and just let this develop. There is a lot of volume that went off here at the top, the highs. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we had to kind of take that back and scare people first before we get a move. So that's my primary scenario. But I want to put in one other scenario because it always seems to me the most unlikely scenario is the one that usually comes on. So if by chance at the open we do this open drive, we rip through all this volume, and we get on the other side of it, I would have to say that this is a confirmed breakout. And at that point, I will be looking for any kind of a balance continuation thing. And I'd be going up around where I think the max range of the day is going to be, 2730s, 2725, something like that as a target, just in space. I think we would finally get the breakout we've been all thinking is going to come here, and we didn't get it. Here, and we didn't get it. Here, and we didn't get it. I think we'll finally get that, potentially that push if we get an open drive at the open. So I'm just going to be aware of that too. So that's pullback, V-shaped bottom is my primary scenario. I'm going to be long off of that. Open drive through the volume that was created in the overnight session. I may get real aggressive and buy into that open drive. And then, as a third scenario, which is only thing that I'm going to be on guard for, would be slicing on the downside through the previous all-time highs with a pullback to that area that gets defended on the sell side. That is it.
Okay, cool. Do you guys have time for one quick? I want to look at look at one quick trade with you yesterday. It's something I missed. I was on the wrong side, but kind of like your opinion if you can spare the moment.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pull this up real quick. It was the low of day yesterday, and we had the FOMC announcement, right, which was nothing, nothing happened. But I found yesterday that I fail to see this on the downside for some reason. So in hindsight, what I see is a pretty clear balance area that breaks to the upside. Now, when it's on the other side, and I've seen the market and it's just gone too far, and it's really clear to me it's gone too far, then these make more sense to me. But on this bottom side, it just didn't. Now, the only thing I had where I get confused as a trader is that I see all this pressure down to the downside, and I go, okay, it's about to break. And then I see all this, and I go, okay, the effort, no result. And and I don't know how to connect the dots that um, this signal, maybe
Well,
that signal.
I can't see what you're pointing
Oh,
to. So,
good night. Damn it all. Here I am talking to myself.
I mean, I see the screen that I thought I was looking at, but
You're looking
then
at the right. You're looking at the right screen. I've got the wrong screen. Hold on. See, this is why I can't be in charge of anything. Okay, you see it?
yeah,
Okay. So the FOMC thing happened, and this is the big washout. As soon as that happens, up, down, up, down. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be down. And you get Delta with us. You get tons of selling pressure, and it's moving, but not like ripping. And again, where my sensibilities get screwed up is I'm going, well, it's just about to. It's just about to. If I do something about this now, if I change my course of action, I'm going to be on the wrong side. But what I'm unable to see, or like I was saying, is when this is on the top side and I can see that it's gone too far and it's just not making progress, it's really easy for me to see this balance break reversal. I just don't see it on the short side as easily. It's much more difficult. And I guess as in hindsight, you see all this pressure right into the low, and it makes basically a one tick low, and the selling evaporates. All this buying comes in, eats all this back, one test down, and then go. I need to figure out, first of all, the two questions. One is this scenario as a balance break off the low obvious to you? And then second question is, how can I train my eyes to see this a little bit more clearly on the when we're short? I don't see it as easily when we're short. I see it a lot easier when we're long for some reason. I don't know if it has something to do with gravity. I don't know if that's a problem I have internally.
When you say when you're short, what does that mean? When you're taking a short?
Okay, yeah. So like on this day, the all the price action is really kind of short. So it's really hard for me to see this reversal at the low of a directionally short, well, even though it's balanced, kind of ugly day. Um, it's hard for me to
Yeah.
see this reversal here.
Well, I think it's because you're not looking at the big enough time frame. And to me,
Mm.
you're asking a question that I've only developed as this. The reason that didn't break down is because we're in a bigger picture, longer term uptrend. That's why that didn't break down, because they were selling into larger picture, bigger guys that were going to buy everything they were able to sell.
So the only
And
thing I
so
saw on that was this right here, but I'm sitting here going, is that enough for me to think that that's the place that the larger picture guys are going to step in, or?
at a potential low volume node and a balance on top of the other one, I mean, my look, I mean, I don't know how you draw a zone and anything else, but that would be an area. It was a little bit beyond where I had my zone. 83s on the ES was beyond where I had the zone. But if you look at the, well, I don't know, this is on ES, so maybe it's not on yours. Um, I'll show you what it looks like on mine anyway. And this is kind of what I was talking about yesterday when I was, can you see my screen?
It's dice right now.
No. Okay. Let me just, yeah, so that's the scenario. You have to share your screen before you go look at somebody else's thing,
Huh.
just so you know, because that's consistently happening now. So do you see this volume that happened here? This was in the previous session.
Yep.
And do you see how like spiky it looks? So
Mhm.
it doesn't have a clear point of control. It's kind of like, so I put my zone on the top edge of that, thinking that since we're in a bullish environment and this initiated from here, that would be the support area. Okay. But truthfully, the support area was at the bottom of this volume. So to me, yes, where this came in and where this came in makes sense.
Yep. I just saw that because this was my target when I was trying to short from higher up, was right there. And you've taught me that before, Nick. And that's, I don't know if it's exactly the tick, but it's damn close. If
Yeah.
you
And
look at that right there, it's yeah, yeah, yeah.
the other thing I was just going to point out to you is since this balance kind of started on the bigger picture, we're developing volume now up in here that we're above, and we're above this volume. This is kind of the volume we tested yesterday from above,
Hmm.
right? We got up here. I know this is scrunched down, but we got up in here and then we came back down into this volume. So yesterday we basically, uh, we opened around here. I muddled around and we tested into that once, and then we tested into that again, and now we're up here.
Right.
So this volume is holding.
Yep, I think you're right. I think the moment we couldn't break that down, I should have seen that as at least the potential that this area was getting, that was doing exactly what it looked like it was doing. That the buyers were
Yeah.
stepping in and they were going to turn it around.
Now, Josh, I want to tell you something, but I don't know how to quantify this because you're the systems guy. So I want to bring you this attention. Somebody once told me that in a bigger picture uptrend, balance breakdowns fail more often,
Mm,
right? So we were looking at a balance breakdown,
yep.
potentially shorting a balance breakdown in a bigger picture long-term uptrend. And all he's saying is that's less likely to work in a bigger picture uptrend.
Yep. Yeah, no, and it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And I think those little, something I've learned over the last 2 weeks of this tryout that I've been doing is that um, of the little cue cards of information that you need to remember throughout the day. Um, like I'll get the one that would be a cue card. Another one would be it's been very difficult to hold on to longs with a reasonable stop. The little cue cards that are informing the regime that you're currently in or trading in general have been more present in my mind over the last 2 weeks than probably ever before, and I think it has something to do with how I'm arranging the day and all of that. But the point I'm making by bringing that out is, I mean, there might be 100 of them in a day that you have to actually mentally process, and uh,
And you
and
got to put them in the right order,
and you got to put them in the right order.
right?
Yep. I mean, you can't. I think
And
I
that's
think
where
my
I
initial
think,
question was, I'm trying to see this for the setup, and you can't. Like that's just that you got a stethoscope on a snare drum, dude. That's just not gonna work.
that alone, I don't think is going to work. No, in the long term, it does work sometimes, and that's what gives you these results that are inconsistent. Without taking into consideration the bigger picture of what's going on. But I was just going to mention something else about that. One idea is that when Ziggy put together the flow chart he had, that put a lot of that type of thinking in my mind
Mm.
because again, remember when you started the whole idea of I'm expecting this type of day. Well, if we can expect this type of day and we're in this type of environment, we might just say to ourselves, balance breakdowns, we're just going to avoid balance breakdowns today.
Never even
We're
thought to
just
do that, Nick. That's a really great thought. That's again another cue card. That's another cue card.
right. And so you would have this big mind map of the world, right? And you would go, I'm in the long term, long term is uptrend, and my intermediate term is neutral. And location is really important right now. So I'm only going to take fades at good location. I'm not going to take balance breakdowns. I'm not going to take pullback continuations because when we're in this environment, those work out less likely.
Right.
They're less likely to work.
And
Not that
actually,
they don't work.
it's yeah. I want to add to what you're saying. The in this environment, where we are price wise, both scenarios of these from this location can be profitable. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Whereas if I was expecting
yes.
balance from here, I
Like,
really wouldn't want to be trading from the middle. I wouldn't. I'm waiting for it to fail at an edge. But leaving higher, yeah, if I was to be long
yes.
from this area, yeah, that would be a profitable trade that would probably work out in my favor. And if the gap close return to balance scenario was going to work out, again, that would give me a lot of opportunity to get down to the previous point of control, support, and all those things. And in the higher time frame environment, there's a plenty of room between here and where those higher time frame guys would interact. Wow, that's a very interesting thought.
And putting it in your language, let's say just take today as an example. Putting it in your language. I'm only going to take imbalanced trades at good locations on the long side, or I'm going to take breakout trades from the long side at poor location but good momentum.
Hmm.
That's it. That's all I'm taking today. Two things, and then it takes out all the other shit. If
Dude,
you
that's
see big
cool.
selling and you're thinking to go short, you go, nope, I'm going long.
Yep, that
I'm
is
going long
that
from
is
here
cool.
or there. That's it.
Yeah, I can see that that might be the building block I'm looking for in terms of like holding and maintaining bias, because I've done everything I possibly can, and some things have worked better than others about holding and maintaining a bias. But doggone it, if there aren't, at the worst possible time, when your bias should be flipped, you're still looking at an indicator or some sort of reference on the chart that's 40 points away and saying, well, I guess I gotta stay short.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm doing when I build my battle plan is I'm giving myself two kind of looks. Like I'm saying, am I bullish overall, right? So today I'm bullish overall. And I'm bullish overall as long as we don't take back the all-time highs, right?
Yeah.
Once I take back the all-time highs, and I'm going to get more neutral and I might even get bearish. But as long as I stay above there, I'm bullish. Now, what can I do? I'm far away from the all-time highs. I can't get long down there. So now I have to get long at a higher level on a decent pullback where I can put a stop that actually means something,
Right.
right? So it's a combination of things. That doesn't mean that the first long I take, I get stopped out. I'm immediately going to flip my bias. As long as we're above the all-time highs from previous, I'm going to stay long. You know,
Yes.
that's the kind of thinking that I'm trying to develop into a systematic type thing that can be repeated and tested over time, where you're saying, I'm defining this day as a certain thing and this is what I'm going to do. And if I do that over time, does it make better results? Because it's not always going to work, obviously. But if you do that over time, is that better results than just looking at my short-term shit and going, I'm taking a short, I'm going long, I'm going short, I'm going long. I don't care.
Right.
I'm just
It's
doing
too much. It's too much for me. Trying to do that is too much real time thinking. I think the more that I have to try to come up with during the day, during real time, I find the less well I do. And so that initial like screening, it's almost like a two-stage system. It's like the first step is, okay, taking the day type and the location of price and a little bit of other data and saying, okay, what type of day am I looking to trade? Like if we're opening way above range, I know right then and there what type of setups I'm going to trade that day or could trade that day. Then the next refinement is, do the actual conditions match what those setups call for? So if we had absolutely no overnight range or very low overnight volume, or we had a very uneventful open with below R vol, those types of setups can get like removed from what's possible for me that day. So it's kind of like, first I look at the day type. What type of day is it? What's likely for today? What have I seen historically? And then the next would be, okay, well, given what's actually happening and happened, what is available to me today. And for me, like I find I'm trying to avoid like taking setups during the day that I didn't know I was going to do in the morning. It should be kind of,
totally,
like
totally agree.
this is what I want to do. And my hypos are just like strictly um really like not okay, price could do this and then do this and then do this. My hypos are just like, if price lines up with what my setup calls me to do, like I'm taking it. I can't know the exact location. Like yesterday was a perfect, literally textbook. Like I saved 20 examples from yesterday for a gap up fade setup, my highest performing setup. And I cannot ever measure ahead of time where I'm going to take that short, because that mid and VWAP and low volume area will develop somewhere I cannot place, but I can define it and say it's a gap up day. And then I can see weaknesses and say, okay, I'm good to trade that setup today. And that's no surprise. Like I knew that right in the morning. So find that helpful.
And I love that idea. And what I'm trying to, and maybe you're doing this, so maybe you can kind of tell me, how do you keep those things in your mind while you're doing it during the day, in the battle, in the time that you're doing it? Maybe this is a discussion we can have later, but I'd really like to know, Ziggy, is that, there's times where doubt will come in because you got an impulse down and you were not expecting that. And you're going, wait a minute, this could be a breakdown. I should maybe get short. How do you keep that in your head while you're doing all of this? And, I'd love to hear how you
Yeah,
do it.
part of the struggle is, first of all, I have to say that I don't always, like straight up, like sometimes I will be blinded by something and I will hold on to one idea too long when I really should be flipping and exploring other options. Now, what I do to really counter that is every single day when I look at the market and the different locations that I'm looking at, I'm like constantly eliminating surprises. So something like being able to be bullish on the entire day, even though the morning might start with a heavier retracement to the downside, it's like I'm just trying to not be surprised by it at all and say, listen, if we're gapping up, like virtually half the time, we're gonna touch at least half that gap by the initial balance. Like it's very likely to close half that gap during the initial balance. Now that can look bearish sometimes, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have a continuation to the upside. So I kind of try to put it in my head like, listen, we can do this and we can still have an uptrend update or whatever it is. Like so I guess my answer is like, first of all, I cannot abide by it all the time. It does blind me, but I think that I try to not be surprised by what the market could do. And I try to have an idea like it's very likely that we're going to do this. And after that happens, like let's see what happens. Like where's the delta at in relation to price and what's happening with volume and just different structures. So I guess I try not to get blinded or surprised by what's happening. I try to come into the day knowing that, hey, even though this is some, risk on activity, we could still retrace, and I shouldn't just get bearish just because we've done this. We're very likely to do that. It doesn't mean that we're gonna continue on the downtrend or something like that. So I guess it's
Yeah.
just eliminating surprises for me is kind of like being in tune with my product. I know my product closes gaps very often, but I also know that it can still close well above the open or above the IB high based on certain conditions. So I just try to eliminate the surprise by knowing my product.
Love it.
Yeah.
Great, guys. Good luck today.
Yeah, good luck.